Good morning. Welcome to today's video. I hope you all fine. The market situation is not that pretty. If you have been awake in Europe till around 9 or 10 p.m., which is not too late, you have probably seen that Bitcoin dropped to $99,000 and this night it dropped to I think 98.8 or something like that. So the bear market has begun. Just a joke. I don't believe that this is actually already the bear market. I think it's a shakeout. It would be very strange to me that big investment houses that, by the way, also own a lot of MicroStrategy, that they would actually be investing in an asset that will go down so heavily. So this is why I don't think we have seen the cycle now. And we should talk about some points. So first of all, I want to address the point that a lot of people are actually claiming or saying that the whales are selling a lot of that Bitcoin, which is partially true. But if you're claiming this, you probably haven't understood the metrics. So there's the long holder metrics shown on CoinGlass and other research websites, which actually indicates the long-term holders. But the problem is, to my knowledge, you are already defined as long-term holder. I'm not quite sure. You can put it in the comment if you know it better. I think after 6 months. So this have been mainly ETFs that sold all their Bitcoins out of the ETFs, because what they do is they just look at the premium. So if there is a premium, they will buy the ETF, the Bitcoin ETF. And if the premium is not there, a lot of them will sell it. So this is what is happening. Yes, there may be also some big whales selling their Bitcoin, but this is quite limited. The wind will not impact the audio too much. We'll see later on. They'll probably find a way a little more away from the sea in a minute. So you will find out. I have also seen a very nice interview with Peter Schiff. You know Peter Schiff from Shift Gold, which is always debating the Bitcoiners and talking Bitcoin down and gold up and so on. The funny part in the interview was actually when he was interviewed about his strategy. So called MicroStrategy for Michael Saylor's company. He said he would have suggested that they rename company to Micro, not to Strategy. I thought it was very funny. And just connecting the dots here when we talk about the gold bugs, unfortunately, I see, interestingly, a lot of these gold people now really bashing Bitcoin. Like I told you, it's not a store of value. It's just a speculation asset. And you can really see, or I have just realized in the latest weeks, how much also these gold channels try to imply or try to put fear on the audience. If you look at the guests that they are presenting, if you look at the topics that they are discussing, you will see that this is all mainly negative things, right? It is either promoting gold or on the other side, really, talking so bad about the economy and what will come. This will come, the government will do this. Of course, this is partially true. But unfortunately, they are not selling the right solution. If they, for example, talk about digital ID, if they talk about how the UK and other countries will probably put more sanctions on the people, like the UK now is thinking about a 20% exit tax, meaning you would have to pay 20% of your entire wealth if you want to exit the UK. In France, I'm not 100% sure if this went through, but I think so. You have now to pay unrealized capital gains on unproductive assets, and which they also count Bitcoin in. So if you now have, and I guess gold would also be an unproductive asset. So if the gold bugs are recommending to you to buy gold, good luck leaving the country with your gold. I don't have anything against gold. I think it's very good to have gold and silver, but I don't like this fear mongering around, right? So this was another point I wanted to talk to you about. What else can we discuss? So the main topic that you're probably interested in is I'm not sure if I can even say bull market over, because for most of you, you probably didn't have a bull market till now. Still, we see almost the same assets going up like last time. It is the privacy narrative again that is still performing very well. So Zcash mainly. We have Decrypt and some other very old projects creeping up. This is why it's called Decrypt, maybe. So I'm not even sure anymore what it does. I have to look into it, but I assume it is also about privacy, encryption, and so on. I'm not convinced that these coins will have actually an opportunity to survive the government regulations. We've discussed this, compared Monero, Zcash, and Pirate Chain the last time, but still to come back to this topic. If you look at the way a business has to transact, transactions shouldn't be open, right? So they should have the possibility to shield the address. I mean, yeah, in Zcash, what I have been reading on a lot of these privacy coins, you can basically decide who can see the transaction. So it could be a solution. Then you would have to give the IRS bot access to read this, right? So would be in a way that transactions, you don't want anybody to know. You shield it, but you have the option to actually make it public for others. So this could be an opportunity to basically show it to the regulators and so on. So give me a second. I have to put on my rain jacket. I'm back in a second. I have my mic plugged on me so I can continue to talk. So the question is, will this privacy coins, or is this good investments, the privacy coins? I'm not so sure about it. Like we discussed, when we look at MiCA, the European regulation that is basically coming out, the regulation which is out and is the framework for the European Union, how they should actually deal with basically crypto assets and how exchanges have to behave, how wallets have to behave. Privacy coins are more or less banned. So, and also, if you don't know that, USDT is like banned in Europe, which is also quite interesting and shows me that USDT is actually tool, a stable coin to basically will be very powerful in the future. So I guess the Europeans have banned it because they have their own plans. You know, they're going more officially into the CBDC route, not so much like the US into the stablecoin route. but this is fine. So let me check if I didn't cover the mic too much. Yeah, I hope you can still hear me. And the mic will not explode in the rain. So yeah, this was another topic I wanted to discuss. Looking at the market now, yes, you have all the assets, mainly, or let's say, I think Ethereum, I didn't check the last price, but when I checked yesterday evening, it was down to almost 3,000. So Solana went down when I checked last to 150. So it's quite a dip, right? I could be wrong, but I don't think it's over now. It's very unusual that the cycle would end without any euphoria. None of the crypto peak cycles. You remember we have developed Market Peak AI, basically, where you can see for free, it's delayed 7 days, but you can see if the cycle top indicators have basically been hitting. But for now, there's no cycle top indicator. Yes, people say it's different this time, yeah? But it's still quite strange. Why should none of the indicators hit? Yes, we have institutional players now coming in. This is true. But, and something interesting is also happening. We have also a little bit talked about that on another video, where if you listen to people who have more macro insights, like Raoul Paul from Real Vision and so on, and other people who are Michael Howell, like he's studying liquidity very much, and they are basically saying, I have to research this, but maybe you know it and can put it in the comments. They say that the business cycle has now been extended to 5 years. So this 4-year cycle will not really be of impact for Bitcoin, because the amount of Bitcoin that gets mined still is so small. I think it's a little more than 1%. So this, if you think about logically, does not have any impact on the price anymore, because the development is going into a very different direction, meaning that we have much bigger players now coming in, that this 1% is not really important anymore. So these big players are basically saying the business cycle is changing because the government decided to not pay back all their liabilities, or not, how you call it, not refinance this year. For some reason, I think they don't have to refinance this year, so they can refinance next year, and this will heavily impact the liquidity and the total cycle. And as you probably know, Bitcoin is very dependent on global liquidity. I also need to check the M2, the global liquidity chart again, now that Fed is actually has reduced rates and is actually stopping quantitative tightening, and will probably start quantitative easing. They will not call it like that, but they will have some kind of program. They already started to put loads of millions into the banking system. The US government at this point is still shut down, which is, I don't know, if you consider the US the most powerful, most Western free country in the world, is quite shocking to me, I would say. Now it's, I think, almost around a month. And the predictions on Polymarket are actually saying that it will be closed at least 1 or 2 more weeks. So this is more like banana republic status, if you ask me. So we will see. I could be wrong, but I think now could be a good time to start the last run. Or maybe it runs until the next quarter. We don't know, right? We're still waiting for the government to open. When the government opens, we will finally get the Solana ETF. A lot of people know this actually, and I don't know. I can't imagine that if you, as big institution, know that the Solana ETF will come in a week or in 2 weeks, and Solana drops to 150, 145, you should buy it, because you can be like quite sure that Solana will double in weeks or even quadruple in months, right? So this I would consider as very good entry prices. I don't want to recommend to you that you enter this. I'm not saying that. You need to make your own decision. You need to evaluate for yourself if you think the market is over or not. We will just know in hindsight, right? There's no way to predict now or be sure now if the market is over. What I can tell you is it is basically a very good sign that a lot of people are giving up. Yesterday we have been around 17 in extreme fear, and I'm sure today we are much lower. And these are extreme fear levels that indicate to you that you actually should buy. This is like the famous Rothschild saying, if there's blood in the market, you need to buy. And we have talked about this in my older videos, that this is actually a very good indication. You buy when there is extreme fear, and you sell when there is extreme greed. This is a very good indicator. So if you buy now, it depends what you buy. So in my opinion, you can always buy at these levels, extreme greed levels, extreme fear levels. You can always buy long-term multi-cycle assets. Be careful what you define as multi-cycle assets. I don't agree with, of course, other people talking about it. So for me, there are some multi-cycle assets that I would buy now or keep now. But this is just Bitcoin, of course, Solana, Ethereum, maybe BNB. But I'm not sure about that, because, there was quite some shady things, probably, I'm not sure, going on where the flash crash happened, where I have heard that they actually has manipulated charts. Then there's a lot of stuff going on. It's not very clean. So I'm not sure if this will perform quite well, this centralized exchanges, right? So we will see what will happen. But these three coins, definitely, so Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, and then there is coins that I'm very sure that will do very well in the next cycle. These coins would be, for example, Tau, so BitTensor, which has actually seen an explosion when we have talked about it. It went up over $500. We have talked about it at around 220, 40, something like that. So this has seen quite an explosion. But the thing is, almost all of these assets will go heavily down. Also, Bitcoin will probably go, whatever you define as heavily down. I don't think you will see a Bitcoin crash more than, I don't know, 30%, let's say, from these levels, because of the ETFs and the big players, right? What I want to say is, it is cleverer to get out if you have cash. If now the run starts till the end of the year, I would then sell like assets like ENA, which are multi-cycle assets. But you know that especially ENA, when the market is not performing, if people are not trading, ENA will go down very much, because this is the how ENA is built. Also Pendle and other stuff that we can hold for some quarters. But if you manage to get out of ENA and make some good profits, you hold the stable coins, and then basically you wait really for the bear market, and then you can buy twice or three times as much ENA in the bear market. It's not the right time to buy in a bull market, or Now, if you believe that it will recover, then you could buy some cheap stuff now. But you need to know what is multi-cycle, and you need to consider the opportunity, or you need to consider that maybe the market is over. Maybe the bear market started now. And if this is the case, you should hold multi-cycle assets, because now I would not recommend to sell out of Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana. Depends on your strategy, but in general, I wouldn't recommend it. So I hope that it was useful, and I see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Take care. All the best.